off an artist. I am so excited about this. So, just so you guys know, there is an artist out there. I'm not going to mention his name. He doesn't get to have his name mentioned, but he thinks he owns the floating island paintings. Whoops, a little bump there. He's flat out told me, you don't get to paint any floating islands. You know what? Screw him. I paint what I want. Let's get into it. We're going to have a lot of fun painting this thing. I encourage you guys to go ahead and write in the chat. Let me know what it is that you think, and let's get into it. So, my name is Sean Nathan Ricks. I am the creator of the I Magi Kingdom of Thor card game. I am also the individual who wrote the I Magi novel. And I'm also the person who wrote The Man Who Would Be King. Now, if you want to get any of these, you can always go to my website and take a look at them. My website is www.buymynovels.com. That's B-U-Y, mynovels.com. Let's start painting. All right, so a little bit about this guy. Now, oh golly, it must have been a little over a year ago. Oh, almost a year and a half. I stopped going to certain conventions. I just stopped altogether. I stopped painting, wouldn't do it. I had an extremely bad experience with this gatekeeper, old man, old fart artist. And I mean, I'm kind of an old fart too. I'm 50, but this guy's like 76, 78, somewhere in there. And you know what? He was just a jackass. He accused me of stealing his work by painting something so similar that you could tell it was his. And then he went further and he started saying that every single painting I've ever created was because of him. So, in the beginning, I was like, all right, fine. I'll leave this space. I don't want to talk to this guy. I don't want to be associated with him. I had him in the card game and I took him out. In fact, every artist except for my mother, who is an artist, I've got her in the card game. Everyone except for my buddy Nathan, who is a fantastic artist. I have him in the card game. And I have my cousin's husband in the card game, and he's a great artist as well. And then I'm in the card game. I've got about 200 cards that I've made. And yeah, in the end, this gatekeeper artist, this old fart, this complete and utter douchebag, he couldn't leave well enough alone. He had to make a comment. He had to say, I don't know if it was a victory lap or if he was trying to say something to try and drag me down more, but he said it in front of a couple of my friends that are fans of my card game while they were at the convention. Word got back to me, and he said the same. He said these things. He says, one, if Sean ever shows up, I'm going to kick his ass if he ever comes to any of these. Of course, now this guy in person, when I had an opportunity to fight him and he said something like that, he backed down. So, he's a pussy. And then next, he said, if he ever paints another floating island again, I'm going to sue him. Well, you know what? These are called the Spite and Malice paintings. I'm going to paint 21 paintings of floating islands in 21 days. This is number 4. So number 4 of the Spite and Malice paintings. And he can absolutely just suck it. He is such a douchebag. Now, you try to tell me what I can and can't paint. And then he said he was going to completely destroy my business. Now, here's the rub, guys. I had walked away. I had gone completely away from all of it. I wasn't going to paint anymore. I wasn't going to do any of it. He was going to be able to take the entire industry. I was out. But when word got back to me of everything that he was saying, I was like, you know what? Screw him. I'm painting again. That's what's happened. I jumped in and I started painting again, and it's been nothing but smooth sailing. And when I say smooth sailing, I mean he is pissed as hell. He tried to have an individual contact me just today and pretend they were an attorney. And I educated this person saying, hey, if you are pretending to be an attorney and you're not one, I don't care if you're in a different state. This guy's off in Washington or Oregon. He's off in one of those places. But I told him, I said, if you pretend to be an attorney, even if you're calling me from a different state and I've got your information, I can end up giving that to the attorney general in the state of Utah. And impersonating an attorney is a huge crime. They will go after you like mad. Well, the dude got scared and he immediately hung up, right? Because, He's a douche as well. Come on, Sean, tell us how you really feel. I really feel like these guys just absolutely need to have a humbling experience. Somebody needs to let them know that they're not nearly as cool as they think they are, and that what they really need to do is just back the freak off, because I'm not backing off. I'm painting all of these. I even had a couple of other artists that had been involved in the card game. I took them out too. I took a whole bunch of them out. I have, hey, Lizzo, how you doing? I have a bunch of cards in there. I'm responsible for about 300 pieces of artwork that's in this. And they were only responsible for 22 pieces of artwork. So yeah, it wasn't a big, it was basically a favor for me to even put them in the card game. Yeah. Hey, Lizzo. Hey, I'm going to show you something so you can see the card game up here, right? This is the I Magi Kingdom of Thor card game. And I'm going to show you something else here real quick too. The two books. So this is another novel that I wrote, The Man Who Would Be Time. This is a novel that I wrote, I Magi, which is what the card game's based off of. And again, anybody who's taken a look should really go and take a look at my website, which is buymynovels.com. That's B-U-Y, mynovels.com. And of course, if you haven't liked and subscribed already, subscribe to my website or on my YouTube channel here. I don't make any money off of it. I just do this kind of stuff for fun. I like teaching people how to paint. So if you've got questions about how to paint this stuff as we go along, ask me what colors I'm using, ask me what it is that I'm using for techniques, what kind of brushes. I'll end up using a lot of brushes that are for makeup, like this one right here. This is a makeup brush. You get those just a little bit wet, you pop in and you can just start painting away on them, and it will really smooth everything over. Right now, I'm just putting a base in on these mountains, and the mountains are going to get this kind of nice gray color to them, and I'll probably bring in a little bit of blue to get them to stand out from things. Right now, they're not going to stand out much from the background because there's a little bit too much of the same color, right? When you look him up, his design is different anyway. Anyone can do floating islands in their way. Hey, thanks, CJ. CJ happens to be one of my students that I teach martial arts to, and he's got a couple of my paintings. And he's a pretty good student, I guess. Could definitely practice a little bit more, CJ. By the way, can you guys hear any of the music in the background? Let me know if you can hear that. I'm in for sure. Yeah. Practice, 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 right, buddy? Okay, we're going to leave all this stuff alone for just a minute. We're going to jump down into some of this other area. And for that, we can get a little bit of green. I'm going to mix that green with some dark blue. What I want to do is get a nice dark green going on here. And you'll see why. I'll just take that stuff and I'll just pull it across here. And at first, it's just a base. So there's going to be a lot of really thinness to it. That's just the way it is. You kind of mix it through here up with some of this other stuff. I'm going to bring some down along these. So that green is moving up along it too. And then we'll pull some over here. I don't worry about going over top of it because I can end up bringing in some of my black and my darker colors when I end up doing this. So, and never be afraid of coloring outside of the lines. For heck's sakes, it's a good thing to color outside of the lines. The makeup brushes allow you to cover a large amount of space really fast. Some people really get upset about that because they're traditionalists. They're like, you have to paint with these types of brushes. And you know what? Whatever you guys figure out as your own technique, that's up to you. Also, so that we can have a little bit more of our bitch fest here. You can't hear the music. All right. That's okay. I can hear the music in the background. But a little bit more of the bitch fest here on this other artist. Anybody who's trying to be some kind of a gatekeeper, they really need their butt handed to them. They need to be shut up as fast as possible. Nobody gets to be a gatekeeper in the art world. The people who think that they're better than somebody else, that's a pretty damn pretentious idea right there. So, for sure, for sure. Okay, we're going to come and get a little bit of this darker green over here. Just bring it in. And we are just covering large swaths right now. Just to get an idea, and maybe I'll bring a little more green right there. Then bring some down here. Give a little bit in different spots along our mountain up there. This is really just kind of blocking in. Once it's blocked in, you kind of have to let it dry a bit. So we're going to move from that onto something else. All of that's just to sit there, really. This whole thing's got to dry or else it's too tacky. If you can just kind of put your finger across it and come off with a little bit of paint, way too tacky. All right, here we go. That's what we're going to do to have some fun. I'm going to take some burnt sienna, and I'm going to start picking out details down here. You guys will start to see the edges come alive as I go along. As you start to pull a little further along, get a little lighter on your brush stroke. Give it a couple of little pieces there. You got that done, then you can come down across here. You guys can start to see that you get a little bit of form. Form, in case you didn't know, form is three-dimensionals. We want our entire painting to look like it has form. Kind of a half circle globe here. Shape's just two-dimensional, it's flat. So if you're ever talking to your girlfriend or your wife and you say she's very shapely, you're basically telling her that she's very flat-chested. And I would not suggest doing that. That's probably a bad idea. Let's get a little bit more going on in here. Bring in some rich color. Because now this stuff down here's got to dry. But I want a little bit of definition along the back of this mountain. So I'm going to take some raw umber. Sorry, this last color was burnt sienna, not burnt umber, burnt sienna. I'm going to take and just bring some of this in and then outline the back of that one and the back of this mountain here. And the texture will pick itself out, guys. You can just start grabbing little teeny bits of stuff and making your own texture. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring a little bit of this, get a little more white on it. And then you can see I'm just going to pick out some details. I'm going to let a lot of the dark do the work for me. And paintings can end up coming together pretty darn quick. And then I want some of that up in here because I'm trying to keep this look of a little bit of a depression right in here. So I'm going to put some more dark right there. All right, let's jump in and let's get, I need some of this color right here. Let's pick this out now and start getting ourselves a little bit more definition on our mountain. And we want this up along here. That's going to give us some highlights. Your highlights do some of your definition, but most of your definition is picked out by your shadows. So we'll just come along here. And again, if you are joining us right now, this is one of the Spite and Malice paintings. Again, the reason that it's a Spite and Malice painting is There's an artist out there, an old artist, a gatekeeper artist, one of these boomer artists, a guy who has flat out said, he's stealing my work. This guy Sean's not a real artist. You know what? I've been painting for a long time. I used to go to the conventions a lot. I had left the convention circuit so that I just didn't have to listen to this guy. And recently, some fans of my card game, I Magi, they came to me and told me that at this last convention he was bad mouthing me like crazy, which didn't make any sense since I hadn't been there. But I thought, you know what? It's time for me to strike back. That's what we're doing. We're striking back. Now, this paint on here is still wet, so when I pull across some of this highlight, it's going to pick in some details for me, and it's going to mix with the paint I've already got there. Now, you don't want to do that too much. You'll end up with kind of a muddy painting. You don't want a muddy painting. By the way, if the artist in question is actually watching and listening to this, you challenged me to a fight, and I am more than happy with that. You can ask. Oh, thank you, Summer's phone. Thank you, Summer. Yeah, the guy who said he was going to end up ruining my career. Bring it on, dude. You can ask CJ, one of the guys that's listening and watching right now. I teach him martial arts. I teach Filipino martial arts. So, all right, let's get some more green. We're gonna mix our green with a little bit more yellow. Gonna get a little highlight in here. Pick that out. We'll go in a little bit brighter. We're just trying to bring in some earth tone ones right now, guys. Again, if you guys have not already, you can support my paintings and you can support my stuff by going and buying one of my novels because I'm also a novelist. Go to buymynovels.com. B-U-Y, mynovels.com. BUYMYNOVELS, buymynovels.com. By the way, you get to a point where you want to kind of mix some things. These makeup brushes are fantastic for that. We're going to come up here and we're going to get it to start blending a little bit. And the makeup brush is going to do a crap ton of my work for me. Because a makeup brush is all about trying to blend things together. And it works really spectacular for you. You can blend it out, bring a little bit down there. Now, I'm trying to get a little bit of definition up here. In fact, I can also bring that here and blend it a little bit. Now, again, you don't want to blend too many colors the same because you'll end up with mud on your canvas. So you go really lightly when you're doing this. Really lightly. Okay, now, we're at a spot where I can start picking in some details up here. So what I do is I get a really fine-tipped brush, like this one here. And I am going to get some dark brown and some black together. I'll get just a little bit of green in with it. Now that I've got it all loaded up, whoops, I picked up a color I didn't want. I've got it as a nice fine tip. I'm going to come in and pick out details. And give myself a lot more definition right here. I actually want that to be a little darker, so I'm going to go with just straight black this time. I can come over top of it later if I want to. Pick out those details, get a little striation, and come over the top of the back. There, we're getting a nice thing. I will come in and put a little highlight in there a little later as well. I don't want to get rid of too much of my background. My shadows and all of your dark tones are vitally important. Am I going to be selling them once I'm all done? No, they're going to be, so CJ, when they're all done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up putting them on a Facebook auction. Now, Facebook auction is just where you end up posting them one at a time, and you just tell people that they can buy them from you. And since I don't like this guy, I'm going to actually tank the market. He sells a bunch of floating islands as well, but guess what? I'm going to take each one of these, and even though I normally sell my paintings for $500 to $600 a piece, I'm going to sell the paintings for just $35, and then you'll get one of my novels with it. So you can get I Magi, or you can get The Man Who Would Be Time. So when somebody decides to buy one of these paintings from me on the Facebook auction for 35 bucks, they'll get that. If they 50 bucks, then hey, they'll end up getting two of my novels. I'll give you both. Because as far as I'm concerned, this guy started a war with me, and I'm going to finish the damn war with him. I'll tank the whole market on floating islands, give people a great opportunity to have some things, take out one of the industry gatekeepers, and in general, make it a lot easier for other people. Because, I mean, think about this. If this guy's willing to do this to anybody, what happens if he decided to do that to some kind of brand new artist? I mean, I've been an artist for a long, long time, like 25 years. But what if he said that to some really young, impressionable artist, like 18, 19-year-old? And what happens if that person decided that they couldn't go on? Not only would the world be deprived of what it is that they could have created, he might get it to a point where those people were so upset they went and self-deleted. And that would be a terrible thing. This guy doesn't think. All he wants to do is pretend that he's still relevant at 76, 78, somewhere in there. And I mean, he used to be a great big name in things, but now he's old and he's kind of decrepit and he's just an ass. I mean, you can't try and tear down people so much. You can either be a positive in this life or a negative. And we're all on this third rock from the sun together. So, why be a complete and utter dickbag? As you can see, what I'm doing right now is I'm just using some dark colors to pull in and get some definition. And this definition is pretty important. We're just going to bring it in there. I mean, I don't really care what he says about me, other than the fact that if he wanted to start a war, this was the best way for him to do it. And hey, I really should be thanking him because I had stopped painting for a while. I had just decided for almost an entire year I didn't want to do it and I wasn't going to do it professionally. And now, because of everything that he said, I'm like, you know what? I'm doing it. I'm going back in and I'm painting, and I'm going to do everything I can to let people know that when you're an artist, just go out and start creating. Have fun. Don't listen to the naysayers. Don't listen to the giant bag of dicks or the old farts. When they try to tell you what to do, if you're having a good time doing what you're doing, do it. I mean, sure, there's room for self improvement in all things, but there's not room for tearing people down. Again, what I'm doing here, guys, is I'm just using a really fine brush, and that really fine brush is going to give me some definition. So when I go in with my highlights, it's going to make a big difference. Now, I have a whole bunch of paint congregating right here, so I'm going to take another one of these makeup brushes, and I'm just going to take and I'm going to pull that along there and kind of smooth it out. Now, this guy did tell me he was going to get me banned from all kinds of different conventions. And he did succeed in getting me banned from two conventions. Apparently, I am no longer welcome at a convention up in Missoula, Montana called MissCon, and I'm no longer welcome at a convention that is over in Seattle, and it is called NorwestCon. The joke's on them. I had already told them a year ago that I was not going back to their conventions. So that whole ban thing doesn't really affect me. We want to make a little bit of a valley here because I'm going to bring some water down through here in a minute. Bring that over as well. Then a bit right there as well. Okay. Now, I'm going to mix up some more vibrant green and kind of come through this area. So I have to grab it. I got a whole bunch of greens here. Let's see here. We want to get a nice, vibrantly clear green. Come on, guys. Where'd all my greens go? You know what? I blame CJ. I think CJ came into my studio and got rid of my greens. So this one is emerald green. That's the one we're going to use. And it's nice and vibrant, but I can't use just emerald green. I've got to mix it with something. So I'm going to get some yellow ochre and I'm going to mix it with that. Yellow ochre. Yeah, CJ, stop hiding all of my colors in my studio, man. It's your fault. It's because I beat up on you when I teach you martial arts, isn't it? I knew there was a reason. Okay, let's get a nice mix here of my colors. Okay, we got a nice color on here. And as we pick in on it now, yes, you can start to see how that really brings it out. This is where we start to get the form that comes through on things. Now the sun's coming from this direction down this way. So we want to be able to bring our highlights through there, which means I might come in and put a little bit of a dark green blue in there. Okay. If you guys have questions as we're going along, please ask them. Otherwise, you can always listen to different stories that I've got. Yeah, somebody did ask me today, hey, what happens if with you deciding to do this, it helps him sell more paintings? I'm like, hey, that's great. I want him to succeed. The only reason I'm angry is he told me that I can't. And nobody gets to tell me what I can and cannot do. It's not like he's my mom. Although maybe he is. I don't know. I don't know. I've never seen him with his clothes off. Never know what he looks like. He's not my mom. He's certainly not my dad. My dad's freaking awesome. My dad is 76 years old, and he's been missing his right leg from just below the knee down. Got in a tractor accident when he was 17. Fell off the back of a tractor, and the tractor behind ran over his leg. And my dad ran an extremely labor-intensive business his entire life. He was a huge example in my life. Also a huge example of don't let people tell you what you can do and what you can't do. Now, probably one of the nice things is that did probably keep him out of Vietnam because he had lost his leg. All right. So we've got all this stuff. We want to do a little mixing. We're going to grab this brush right here. All you girls out there are going to recognize all the makeup brushes, right? We want to get it a little bit wet. And we're just going to pull and get the colors to mix right on the canvas for me. The makeup brushes really do a lot of our work for us. Okay, now we're a little bit vibrant on some of these greens. So what I want to do is I'm going to come in with a more earthy green and get rid of some of it. And then when I go back over it and I start putting in my shadows, things are going to come together a lot better. Actually, before we do that, I've got one color that I'm going to use that's going to give us some real warmth here. This is my transparent burnt umber. Transparent burnt umber. Ooh, I don't like that. Picked up something I didn't want on there. Transparent burnt umber is going to give us a rich tone that comes through here. and it gives us a little bit more to our painting that we didn't have in other places. We'll put some along the back here in the shadow as well. There, all right. We're starting to get some nice mountain looks here. It looks a little more like a mountain. When I'm finally done, I'm going to bring a waterfall down, and then I'm going to bring the waterfalls out here and split them. I'm going to use some of that burnt umber on the grass as well. Does a great job of giving me just a little bit extra. Just a little something more that you don't get when you're just going with the straight colors and you're not mixing things. That is one of the things you shouldn't do, is just go with straight color out of the tube. But again, for every rule there is in painting, there's always one to break as well. And guess what? You can even break that rule. Okay. This is a really dark green. We're going to pick out some of that here. We're even going to put a little bit right there. Maybe a little there. We're getting some green in certain spots. Bring a little bit along the back here. Then we'll make our valley for the water to come down. When I put my water over top of that, it'll really make a big difference in there. And the same thing through here. Yes. Very happy with the way that this is forming up. And let's get it here as well. Let's see here. Ouch, he is a cool guy. Your mother is a very nice person. Thanks, CJ. Yeah, my mother is my mother had to put up with me growing up, so she's a saint. An absolute saint. Hey, CJ, I think you're the only one that's still left here. Everybody else has kind of decided to take off. They're not watching to the end. All right, let's pull this down there. Okay, looks good. Now, I need just a little bit more of this dark green. I've got to layer it through here for where my water is going to fit in. Oh, yeah. Now, we're going to come in over top of this stuff up here. We can get a little bit more of our burnt umber and kind of pull in some shadow across there. That was a little too sharp. And a little more here. And then just a little bit more here. Now it's transparent burnt umber, so if you want it to be heavy, you got to mix it with a little bit of white or a little bit of black. Otherwise, it's going to be light in color. Now, I know it sounds weird that you'd mix it with white in order to get it to show up more, but it's because it's transparent. The white makes it a little bit of opaque. And it gives us that natural earth tone over in these areas. Okay, let's let that stuff dry up a bit. We're going to take some more of our transparent burnt umber and we're going to pull it through this area here. It'll give us a little extra definition. And then a little back here. And a little here. Now, let's move on to putting some highlights in different spots. Okay, so we're going to take some white. We're going to take some of that green yellow. We're going to make it a little bit more vibrant green yellow. Now we've got it there. We want to pull lightly and we want to make details here. Now, if you're still sticking around and you're watching, you can start to see how everything forms up. We have to have a lot of highlights on the hills here because that is where the sun's hitting. Maybe a little bit right here, but not past there because that's where the shadow is going to hit. And again, right through this area here too. Now we're a little thin. If your paint starts to run, grab your brush and pull over top of it as fast as you can. And if you don't like quite how it's going, soften some of it up with your makeup brush. There, I like that. Nice thing about paint is you can go over it and over it and over it and over it as many times as you want until you're happy with it. All right, let's see. Okay. Now, we need to get some light color over here, but first, we're going to put in some highlights up here in the mountains. Now, the challenge is going to be making sure we have a highlight that doesn't blend with the clouds. We're going to test this color out a little bit and see if we like it. This is a nice fat brush. I like the texture it gives me as I pull across things. Sometimes it's a little bit less pointy than I need though, so we'll use just the edge of the brush here to get some of this up here. And if there's too much paint on, pull it across the back of your canvas area, whatever your artboard in the back is. Maybe a little highlight there from the sun hitting the back here. We're starting to get a nice color that I like. Maybe come down here and we've got a little more highlights. Our highlights look pretty good there. Okay, we got to let that dry before we can do anything, but we can bring our water down here. Now, for the water, again, what we want is a really fine pointed brush. We're going to use this one. You want to take and just kind of pull like that to get it together so that you can get your brush to come to a nice point. Okay, once you've got your point, we're just going to go with straight white. And guess what? I don't have any white that's turned on in there, so I've got to get some. So we'll get some white here. Now, if you're going to do something that you want to be very, very vibrant, but you're going over something dark and it's a semi-transparent paint, or it's almost a fully transparent paint, you want to put white down first, and then you can put your color over top of that. So, by the way, for the person who just joined us, this is a painting series called the Malice Paintings. The reason is there was a artist, old artist, kind of a gatekeeper type guy, and he told me I don't get to paint floating islands. In fact, he tried to tell me that he was going to destroy my entire business. So I'm going to paint 21 floating island paintings in 21 days, and this is painting number 4. We're just going to bring our water down here. Now, it doesn't quite look like water yet. Just give it a moment, because once we've got it in, we're going to split one off this way and go down here. Like I said, I end up using the makeup brushes for lots and lots and lots of tricks. This one here, you get it a little bit wet. You come down through here and just mix it. Starts to get your water there. Now, my green's still a little bit wet through there, so it's mixed. That's okay. I don't mind if the green mixes yet. I'm not going to do my waterfalls yet, but I am going to pull these out. So yeah, the artist that decided he was going to tell me exactly what to do, he's 76, 78, somewhere like that. And he has claimed that every single one of my paintings is derived or stolen directly from him. Now, he paints almost exclusively floating island paintings, and I'll paint a lot of things like, let's see, I'll paint, well, CJ, you've been here. You want to outline what I paint? CJ, the other guy joining us right now, happens to be one of my students for martial arts. Now, if you think that what you've got is a little bit too thick, grab another makeup brush and pull down and just kind of soften as you go. Makeup brushes will do so much work for you. It's ridiculous. And of course, my at the end, you're going to be much, much larger. Now, it might look like the stream is too thick in these areas. That's okay, because that's where we're going to come through and we're going to fill in that with a little bit more shadow. Going to take a nice big brush here, and I'm just going to fill in some shadow. Get some over there as well. Maybe have it almost completely disappear through there. The shadow will end up really picking in all the detail that you need for the side of your bank. And I've got a crap ton of paint on there. So you have to be really, really careful with the way that you bring things in. You have to be light touch until you're at a spot where you want it to be really, really kind of dark. Then you push a little harder to get it to be nice and heavy. So we've got some water there. This is probably dry enough now that we can draw down our waterfall. Again, I'm going to go straight white. I'm going to do more detail on it later, but I'm just going to go straight white. I'm going to take and just bring it down. Going to hit a rock there. That's going to kind of bounce over and come down. Maybe give a little bit more sparkle up there. A little eddy comes down. If you're going to ever use your hand to hold onto your canvas, make sure that it's dry where you're at. Let's actually split it. We've got it coming in two spots. So we've got a waterfall starting to come down. This one's really thin. It's down to this spot, and gonna have it hit here, and then this one's gonna come over and down. We're gonna have it kind of sit right in there. Now, there will be things that I do to pick that out and get more detail in a second, but right now we're just going to give it a spot there. So now it looks like it's kind of floating. When I come through with the highlights and the lowlights and spots, it'll make it look a little bit better. I want more vibrancy here. Okay, and then over here as well. Now, this particular artist that we were talking about, he's called me a no talent bum. He's called me all kinds of things. And you know what? I don't listen anymore. He's a dick. Now, before I end up doing anything there, I've got to get more highlights in there. So, okay, let's go ahead and grab it right there. Yes. Pick in some detail. Nice highlights. Highlights do a lot of work for you guys. Now I'm going to show you something that's really kind of fun. I got some very nice self-drawn paintings, a lot of bird styles, as well as oh yeah, warriors, little green man, masks. Thanks, CJ. Filling in all the details, telling the peeps all about it. Okay, there we go. We got that. Now I'm going to mix those just a little bit with the paintbrush. The makeup brush. Like I said, the makeup brush does a lot of my work for me. And then I'm just going to grab this nice flat brush here, dip it straight into vibrant white. Make sure it's going well, and I'm just going to bring it down and just bring some straight down. And then I'll use the makeup brush again. That's just a base for it. The makeup brush will do almost all of the rest of the work as well. As I pull down, we'll just kind of mix that there and then bring it down. That's just the beginning of the waterfalls. That's not actually your finished product on it. Some of these brushes that I've had languishing in the water. We're going to go back to this really fine one. And we will bring in a little bit more detail through here. What I'm doing right now is I'm just picking out the highlight along that edge. Now, I'm going to use this same fine-tipped brush, and I'm going to bring a little bit more detail down my waterfalls. And we're going to put a rock right there eventually. Our waterfall's starting to look good. We're good with the waterfall there. Now, what you want is you want to take a little bit of blue and you want to put it on the back side of the water, but it can't be straight blue. It's got to be kind of a blue-white. This is what's going to give us some form on the back side. You have to have it into a really fine tip. Put a little bit there and then bring some along the back here. And then along the back here. Then along the back of this, and you have to make sure you don't go over top of your line. You know what? I think it needs to be a little bit darker. It's just a little too bright. So we'll mix it up nice and thin. You almost want it to be inky in its consistency. You have to be really careful as you're bringing that down so that you don't go over top of your white. And this is a fast stream. It's pretty steep coming through there. Now, I want it to mix a little bit. So again, I'm going to go back to the trusty makeup brush and just get that kind of mixed through there. And use some of that same stuff down through here. And if I end up going over in the wrong spot, I can always go back over it. It's like I said, the great thing about paint is you can go over top of it and over top of it and over top of it over and over and over again. And I'm going to pull some more white through here. Maybe just a little bit more than that as well. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to pick out a little bit more of my darks now. A little more shadows. I'm going to dip straight into my black again. And then give this something to sit on right there. And then maybe over here as well. You can actually give it a firm black line along the back. You can change your mind as you go along on things. Let's get that there. Okay. Yeah, I'm happy with the way that's looking now. And really thin it out my stream up at the top. Maybe bring this all the way down through here. So that entire cleft of the rock just kind of comes through. We want to get that one a little more defined as well. And maybe that there, definitely there. I like the way that looks. I'm going to give me a hard black line along this back here. And then I'm going to pick out some details along here. A little more. Starting to look good where it sits. I want to disappear a little bit. I'm going to make my brush strokes angle up just a little bit, so it indicates that it's going down into a depression there. I can also kind of bring some of it over here. Bring a couple of lines down here. Interrupt a bit of my stream. And that bit of shadow that I bring in here, I'll just bring some into the blue. There, the stream starts to sit a little bit better once you do that. Yeah, we're starting to get a nice look to it now. Okay. The stream's starting to feel really good with the way that it sits in here. That was a little bit too inky of black. Put a couple of lines across there and here. And that'll give us some rock striations. Doesn't even have to be individual lines. What you can do is just kind of fake it with a zigzag pattern as you go along. That's what will allow you to paint a little bit faster. Trust that your viewer's eye is going to go ahead and make things work on their own. And maybe put that in there. We'll end up making that rock a little more prevalent when we come through with some more. We'll darken that all up there. There. A little bit better. Hey, the astronauts made it safe. Landed about 20 minutes ago. Sweet. I'm happy to hear that. I think it's really funny right now, all the flat earthers that are out there. Some of them think I'm a flat earther because I'll end up painting floating islands. Nope. Pretty damn sure we went to the moon. Pretty damn sure this time we went around it. Now we're going to take this makeup brush. We're going to use that to just kind of smooth some things out through here. We've got shadows that are going to cover certain areas, and we can pull out some highlights as we go along. Get some darker blue with a little bit of black. And we'll just kind of bring that down here. Do a little bit of that over here as well. And along here, along that line up there. And I'm pretty happy with the way that the waterfalls look until I add the more highlights in there. Let's add some highlights right now. Let's just do it. Just do it. Looks pretty good there. We're happy with that. Let's mix up some really, really, really vibrant green. Maybe a little bit yellow. Let's see. Yeah. We'll use the same makeup brush that we're on and just kind of pick out some details here. Bring it in some more. Just a little more time that's all we're asking for. Just a little more time could open close the door. Just a little uncertainty can bring it down. You can you can when the night is long and you can see you can see now. And you know what? I'm gonna call it done. Well, wait a minute. Maybe not quite. We need a little more. When you get to your final pieces like this, you're at the very end, you can kind of end up just putting things in the way that you want it. Use the same brush for a lot of things. We need to pick up a little more detail there because I just added too much, and now we've got to put in some shadows in order to make it work. So. And maybe a little bit of this. And sometimes it's just that easy to fix it. And then I'm just going to pick out really dark, dark shadows on the back, and that'll fix that entire thing. So I can bring it in, do some broad brush strokes here. Pull it there, dark, 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 and then really pick out the dark right here. Oh yeah, I do want to add some shadows along the bottom here. Oh, we got a dot right there that we don't like. Can't get it out, so we'll just have to go over it in a second. There, now our shadows are picking these in and giving us a place to sit. That's what your shadows really do, is they give things a place to sit. And maybe a little bit of shadow there too. And some there. All right, let's sign it. I'm happy with that painting. Yeah, the flat earthers, unnecessary content. Yeah, pretty much. I don't think they really believe in it either. You know what? There's a little bit more I want to add in certain spots here. I'm going to add some right here and there and there. And maybe bring in some right there. Well, straight down. Got a little wiggle there that I didn't like. Get some more vibrant white. Put some right across there, a little bit there. Bring some in just little spots where it's showing up. Right there. Yeah, I like that a little better. Vibrant white there. And maybe a little there. And now I'm going to call it done and sign it. Okay. Signature requires so much patience to do. First of all, you got to have your paint in kind of an inky amount. And your signature has to be consistent all the time. Has to be consistently recognizable by your fans. Get a little more here. I'm kind of making this one. I didn't really give myself a great spot to be able to put my signature in. I kind of painted myself into a corner on it. That's okay. Still mine. All mine. Any artist claiming that it's theirs, dare you to come and actually try and fight me in person. It's my work, not yours. There's generally a rule, don't go back over your signature, but if you're careful, you can. And then I always put the year as well. So we'll put a little 2, 6. There we go. Well, there's one area I'm not quite happy with yet. I want a little more definition picked across here and here. And maybe there and there. And here. Good enough. That's painting that's done. All right. That's it, man. All right. Hey, CJ, it looks like we have one other person who's joining us. Whoever the other person is that's joining us, let me know in the comments if you're new or if CJ's the only one that's sticking around now. Waiting for the comments. Oh, guess it's just CJ left. Oh, I was going to show some more of the studio, but this will do. Yeah, you too, man. Talk to you later, CJ. Bye.